Joining us now, two lawmakers who are very active in the partisan process of redistricting down in Springfield. The vice chair of the Senate Redistricting Committee, L.G. Sims, and from Morris, Republican State Senator Sue Rezin. So, Senator Rezin, you don't think the Democrats are being fair, but every time I hear them talk, they say fairness, fairness, fairness.
Well, I guess it's what is your definition of fairness? We are advocating that the Democrats use the census data to redraw our districts. Currently, because the census data is not available until August, they're using an estimated data from the ACS model. And it's simply not accurate information.
Well, can I stop you right there, because that's really a critical point.
Sure.
That's a critical point. So, Senator Sims, we saw that the data you guys are using when it comes to the total statewide population, it was off by a couple 100,000.
Well, first of all, Mike, thanks for having me. But we haven't made a decision about the data that's going to be used. There's not a final decision made about what data is going to be used. What we did see the other day from the census was that the numbers that came out for reapportionment numbers, they indicate that we know we're on the right track to making that the June 30th deadline. But there's been no decision made about what data is going to be used yet.
So let's get back to this idea of fairness. Senator Sims, when you and House Speaker Welch and other Democrats talk about fairness, including the governor, the stress is on racial minority groups, Hispanics, African Americans, Asians. Republicans talk about partisan fairness, so that when there's the General Assembly's roughly equal, the partisan breakdowns equal to what Republicans and Democrats get in terms of votes.
Well, and see, that's the exact difference between the approaches that we're taking. We're not looking at this from a partisan makeup. We're looking at this. We're looking at our map to reflect the great diversity of our state, and to make sure that we have a map that reflects that. That's what fairness is. Fairness is when we pass a map that reflects the diversity of our state.
You think that the Democrats are over in a map room across the street from the Capitol making up a partisan map right now?
You know, the fact that my good friend and my colleagues across the aisle say that they're drawing a map according to gender, diversity, and all of that is, to me, it's hilarious, because these maps are being drawn as we speak. And the fact that they say that it's important that they want to include minority groups, gender, all of these different metrics when they're drawing the map, the only way that they can do it is if they have the census data. That's where the very accurate metrics are to draw these maps, so they're reflective of these communities. I'll give you one example. I was in a hearing several weeks ago, and a community in Bolingbrook spoke, and they agreed with us because they were asked to gather all of these census surveys. They worked very hard to collect. Over 80% in their community applied or completed the census surveys, and yet they're very frustrated because that information is not being used to draw the map, so they feel that they've been disenfranchised.
Now, why? Well, Senator Sims, have at it here. Why not wait until the census numbers come out, which I gather because they were delayed under the Trump administration and by the pandemic? It's not going to be until the fall. Why not just wait?
Well, first, Mike, I think it's what's hilarious to me is how my friends on the other side of the aisle are now trying to position themselves as champions of women and minorities, and when they don't support policies that support women and minorities. So to me, it's hilarious that we somehow they're somehow trying to make themselves out to be the champions of those groups. But what we clearly do have is a responsibility under the Illinois Constitution. The Illinois Constitution says that the legislature has the response of redistricting by June 30th. That's the deadline. It does not say that May. It says the Illinois General Assembly shall redistrict by June 30th.
The other thing is, if you don't meet that June 30th deadline, then a new process involving chance comes in, and the Republicans could win control of that map. Now that
and Mike, that's where I was going.
All right, you would love that, right, Senator Rezin? You guys would be then drawing the map.
Well, listen, there's a process in place. There's a process that's been in place for many, many years. But we have also talked about the need for an independent commission. So if we do not, such as this year, the pandemic is a reason that we do not have the census number. When the economy closed down, nobody answered their doors. It was difficult to get the census surveys. That's why the census data, it will be available in August. We still have time. Yes, the legislature is supposed to pass something by June 30th. If that doesn't happen, then a commission of 9 members, 8, potentially 9 members, will go through the process. But constitutionally, we have until October 5th to pass a map. So I say, let's get it right. Let's wait for the accurate data. Let's draw these maps according to gender, diversity, racial, all of the different groups, and make sure that they're represented.
If that map doesn't happen, as Mike, as you mentioned, it goes to this commission that is created, that includes appointees by the legislative leaders. Let me say that again: appointees by the legislative leaders who will take direction from the legislative leaders, not the individual elected officials, the elected representatives of the people of the state of Illinois. And if we don't pass a map, then as under the timeline as prescribed, then, as you mentioned, there's this 9th member whose name is picked out of a hat.
I remember in the past, I was there when they used Abraham Lincoln's hat,
the stovepipe hat, and it's essentially the flip of a coin. And how is that democracy? That's not democracy. That's not what the people of the state of Illinois are looking for from us. They want us to make decisions.
We've had bills since 2016. With Speaker Welch had a bill in 2016. Senator Morrison had a bill in 2019. And this year, the Senate Republicans have a bill to call for an independent commission that is chosen by the state Supreme Court. That's as apolitical as you can get, but we've never been allowed a vote on those bills.
All right,
Senator, I think it's disingenuous to talk about a statute superseding the Constitution. We know that can't happen. The Illinois Constitution clearly delineates the time schedule and the agenda, and to say that we can create this process via statute is just not accurate.
All right, Senator L.G. Sims, Chicago Democrat, thank you very much. Senator Sue Rezin, Republican from Morris, I appreciate both of you taking the time. I know you guys have to get back to work. You've got some votes to cast. We'll be right back after a quick break.